King Komodo Origin Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. A mutated Komodo dragon by the name of King Komodo claims to be the half-brother of Go Komodo. He was formerly only one of Go Komodo's pets, but during the turtle's attempt to save Splinter, he was accidentally infected with a synthetic mutagen. In reality, he had previously been intentionally injected with a mutagen laced with Go Komodo's DNA. Donatello supposedly slew King Komodo after he destroyed Go Komodo's home, but Pimiko saved and trained him instead. Written by Gary Carlson and illustrated by Frank Fosco, King Komodo first appears in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Volume 3, Issue Number 1 of Image Comics in 1996. He can exert influence over thoughts that are less powerful than his own. He kills 2 kids in issue number 17, and the Turtles assume that Leatherhead, who has gone entirely feral, is responsible. When Leonardo visits Leatherhead's hideout to look into it, the King of Komodo ties him up. Let us explore more and find out who is this Komodo dragon in our video today. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. King Komodo Origin. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 1 opens with a bunch of cyborgs led by a female assassin named Pimiko headed to assault the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in their hideout. Pimiko is Oroku Saki's daughter and the previous head of the kunoichi that Go Komodo had hired. When Kujikiri was expecting Pimiko, her mother abandoned Saki for Komodo, leaving Pimiko in the custody of her brother. She adopted a life of submission to Komodo as she grew up, hand-selecting and raising her kunoichi. The original attack left Donatello with serious injuries, and Pimiko ultimately ended up catching Splinter as he attempted to save his injured son. Donatello and Splinter are taken hostage by the villains, who then flee. Raphael, Leo, and Mike, also known as Mikey, pursue their enemies, but the bad guys use a helicopter to flee. Donatello dreams of previous occurrences as the car takes off, and when he awakens, he attacks the closest cyborg. Both attackers lose control and tumble out of the chopper and into an extremely low terrain below. The 3 surviving brothers examine a downed robot back at the turtle's lair, which had its head extracted in the combat. Raph uses his sai to jab the body, causing the head to stir and yell out a warning. Raphael disregards the advice and pokes the body once again, causing it to fire and striking the inquisitive turtle right in the face. Leo chops the corpse into pieces while Mike slams the skull. Mike brings Raphael to the first aid supplies since his face is seriously hurt. Leonardo is informed of the dreadful conditions Donatello and he himself are facing by Master Splinter, who manifests in astral form. The second issue continues from where it was left in the last issue. The cyborg and Don are still falling toward the planet. At the Japanese dojo that is held by the Dragon Lord, Lord Komodo, Pimiko and her goons show up. Splinter is led into a room filled with cages and is imprisoned. Another prisoner remarks that Master Splinter would make a good meal. The cyborg commands the victim to stop talking so loudly while pointing a pistol at him. Unluckily for the officer, the inmate charges the cage's bars and chews off his hand. The cyborg is furious and raises his pistol to the inmate, but Pimiko commands him to back down. Pimiko responds by stabbing the cyborg in the face with a long sword, as the order infuriates it more and threatens her. The mechanical guy stumbles and pledges retribution. Mako, the starving prisoner, who is told by Pimiko that he may feed on the cyborg. Mako gladly accepts the proposal. Out of concern that Pimiko may return to their hideout with reinforcements, Leo, Raphael, and Mike depart the sewers. They arrive at a deserted mausoleum and establish a base there. Leo instructs Raph to contact his connections in the Foot for information on Pimiko, and Mike to conduct online research on the Dragon Lord. Leonardo subsequently gives Raph a hockey mask to help shield his hurt face. Unknown to our protagonists, one of Pimiko's ninjas, named Angel, has already found their new hiding place and is informing her superior of the turtles' activities. While Lord Komodo supervises an experiment on a guy whose DNA is being studied, Pimiko tells Angel back at the Lord Komodo's headquarters that she will gather other females to invade the turtles' stronghold. As it happens, the man is called the Weasel, a play on Wolverine, and he is simply a mutant and not an animal as Lord Komodo had anticipated. Komodo orders the medical staff to release the patient, but the Weasel wakes up and assaults the Dragon Lord before they can. The mutant is stopped by Pimiko, who beheads him before he can reach his intended target. Leo attempts to reach Master Splinter through the astral dimension at the tomb, but Raph and Mike interfere. Leo shouts at them and tries to unwind when he is approached by Donatello's ethereal form. Don leads Leonardo to his body that has been left paraplegic and with a fractured shell from the helicopter fall. When Mike and Raph go to Leo to break the news to him about the property that Komodo Incorporated purchased, Pimiko and her kunoichi attack them first before they can rouse up their brother from his trance. Leo continues to communicate with Donatello through astral shielding, while Raph and Mike engage Pimiko along with a ninja in combat. Don is currently back in his crippled body and is in excruciating pain. Leonardo bids his brother farewell and returns to his body to assist Don in the earthly world. Leo encounters Master Splinter back on the way, informing him that he is still a prisoner and cannot assist beyond safely escorting Leo back to his body. The scientists in Lord Komodo's laboratory advise the Dragon Lord about Splinter's primary inclusion of animal DNA, which the Lord finds to be good news. In the meantime, Master Splinter is transported to see Lord Komodo, and Don comes upon a hungry rat as he sleeps on his back in the alley. Splinter is told by the Dragon Lord that he is the Dragon Bushido spirit successor and that his ancestors previously controlled Japan and that he plans to do so once more. Splinter presents himself as a modest ninja and says that it is an honor to meet the Dragon Bushido heir. As a response, Komodo commands two samurais to engage in combat and demands proof of this assertion. Master Splinter easily defeats them. The Dragon Lord apologizes to Master Splinter, bowing down to him despite being outraged that his finest guard was so easily defeated. Splinter bows in response and they sip tea together. Splinter is asked by Lord Komodo how he got to be in this shape, and the sensei explains his background. Mike and Raph are still fighting Pimiko and her goons. Leo being held hostage results in the bad guys winning, which is unfortunate. Pimiko informs Raph that she will take Leo with her, but Leonardo suddenly wakes up and escapes from her hands. The female ninja destroys the room's light fixture before running away with her other ninjas. The turtles pursue them, but discover that they have taken off in a chopper. Raph pulls up in a Triceraton aero car that Donatello had discovered in the gutters and repaired, as Leo and Mike look on dejectedly. To aid Don, the turtles board the air vehicle. The Dragon Lord demonstrates to Splinter a room full of anthropomorphic creatures that are dead and lying in tubes back at Lord Komodo's headquarters. According to Komodo, one of them must have the ability to combine human and animal DNA. Learning this secret will enable Komodo to awaken the primordial dragons that are slumbering inside of him. Splinter is concerned if murdering so many people was justified, but Komodo dismisses the claim, claiming that because they were all vicious brutes, murdering them was just an act of kindness. The smell of blood and carnage alarms Splinter, and the two exits the chamber and proceed down a corridor. Lord Komodo reveals that since Mako is adamant about eating meat, they most likely utilize roadkill as food. Splinter is left alone to confront the monster when a large shark mutant suddenly attacks, striking the Dragon Lord right in the face and rendering him unconscious. When Leo, Raphael and Mike get to the alleyway where Don's body lies, they only discover his skeletal remains there. The bones in Don's shell are not those of their brother, as Raphael, Leonardo and Mike find out after looking at the skeletal remains. Leo surmises that the remains must be the mortal remnants of the cyborgs that Donatello was battling. Leonardo and Mike join Raphael's pledge of revenge against Pimiko and the Dragon Lord as he becomes enraged. The turtles then take off in their customized Triceraton flying vehicle for Komodo Industries. Raph wants to start the attack right away, so Leo tells him to park the vehicle so they can strike in the shadows. Mike smacks their heads together while telling them that they can't take any action until they have buried what's left of their brother. The two then continue to quarrel. Mako, a shark mutant, and Master Splinter struggle within Komodo Industries, up until 5 enormous Komodo dragons arrive and assault Mako. Splinter is able to break the behemoth's nose and evade its strikes, who has absolutely no problem annihilating them. During the horrific battle, Master Splinter watches the Dragon Lord, who has just recovered from Mako's previous strike. Lord Komodo pulls his blade to save his companions, but before he can move, he collapses and starts to shake. Master Splinter hits Mako in the nose once again when he arrives. The Sharkman yells out in agony, but stops attacking as he muses over what is going on with the Dragon Lord. As Lord Komodo takes on the appearance of a massive Komodo dragon, Mako and Splinter observe. Mako becomes upset by this and flees, while Master Splinter and the Dragon Lord return to the chamber in which the Komodo dragons have been slain. There, Pimiko and a representative of Komodo Industries are evaluating the damage. When Splinter asks the guy if the transition happens frequently, Pimiko grabs her sword and orders him to be executed for learning Lord Komodo's secret. The turtles, who believe their brother Donatello is dead, have constructed a cairn outside the adjacent woods for his bones. Mike trails behind and sobs as Leo and Raphael attack Komodo Industries. Later, when the turtles are moving through a cornfield, Mako crashes by them while being pursued by other enormous Komodo dragons. To Leo's dismay, Mako locates the Triceraton aero car and hops into it to flee. Fortunately, Raph uses a remote control to flip the car on its side and let the Sharkman out. Then the ninja drives it back to where all the turtles are waiting. Donatello is healing from his trauma in the meanwhile. Apparently, the cyborg's machine components had a life of their own since they abandoned their human host after the collision and turned Donnie into a teenage mutant ninja cyborg turtle. Walking across the cornfield, Donatello decides to attack Mako with his brand new robotic arsenal. Raph, Mike, and Leonardo begin their attack on Komodo Industries. Raph murders a security guy as they enter, which enrages Leo. The two dispute until they are able to peek inside the building from a high enough vantage point to witness Master Splinter and Lord Komodo enjoying tea. The Dragon Lord reveals within that his lineage of the Dragon Spirit is cursed and that he can only transform into a Komodo dragon sometimes rather than at will. Furthermore, according to Lord Komodo, his supporters will only continue to support him if they think he is capable of changing into a dragon. As a result, Master Splinter must perish to protect the secret. The stimulant in the tea subsequently renders the sensei unconscious, and he is pulled from the room after passing out. Mike tells his brother what happened outside, and they are ready to strike. Don stands over Mako's crumpled corpse as he fights with the artificial voice that commands his cybernetic body parts. The cyborg mechanism turns to shoot at Mako as it runs away after awakening, but Donatello takes charge of the machinery and lets the beast get away. The computer, which still thinks it is the human host, engages Don in an inner conversation at that point. Donatello reveals that the cyborg's human component is dead and that just the machine is left. The voice in Don's brain is then silenced when he instructs the computer to erase all information pertaining to the previous host organism. The ninja then makes the decision to take some time to familiarize himself with the capabilities of his new body before launching his own assault on Komodo Industries. The Dragon Lord's researchers are getting ready to infuse Splinter with a genotoxic extract from Komodo Industries. Lord Komodo warns the master that the injection might transform him beyond recognition. But prior to the serum being administered, Pimiko requests a meeting with Splinter because Splinter had earlier brought up Hamato Yoshi. Then we learn about Pimiko being Shredder's daughter and that she is interested in learning more about Yoshi's clan. Splinter accuses Shredder of being wicked and deserving to perish, which infuriates Pimiko, who begs to engage the rat in a fight. Lord Komodo declines, stating that she would lose. Just then, Leonardo, Mike and Raphael launch an assault through the room's windows. The Komodo Industries surgeon injects Splinter during the chaos, infuriating Pimiko, who then murders the guy. To Raph's amazement, Pimiko then momentarily joins the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in combat with the enormous Komodo dragons. Raphael liberates the drowsy Splinter and demonstrates an exit to him with Pimiko. The daughter of Shredder then instructs Raphael to help his siblings since she would not be able to battle her Kunoichi warriors, but would not let anybody go after Master Splinter either. Just as a large bipedal mutant Komodo dragon comes, Raphael joins Leonardo. When Donatello enters the scene, the monster has gained the upper hand and is prepared to swallow Leo. Donatello then decimates the monster as well as the chamber into pieces. After a brief but happy reunion between the brothers, Pimiko announces that Lord Komodo has initiated the destroy mechanism, leaving the mutants just 3 minutes to go. She then unlocks the escape path for them. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stumble into a large bat mutant as they move through some caves packed with bats that shout out, "Scree! Splinter, don't get wounded," before it panics and takes off. The moment Komodo Industries explodes in a ball of flames, the lads rush outdoors and climb into their air vehicle to pursue their mutant lord. Now, coming back to issue number 17, we can see that Don, Raph and Leonardo explore the mausoleum where they have set up shop for indications of incursion. Leonardo sets off on his own, fearing that Raphael and Don's armor is not covert enough. A little while later, the ninja returns with the guilty parties, 2 bunnies. Don says he needs to travel to Pittsburgh to pick up some parts. Raphael informs his siblings that he must resume teaching his foot soldiers immediately. Raph declines Leonardo's invitation to join in and provide a hand, informing him that the Foot have elected Raph as their leader and that there will be just one person in charge. Although Leo is discouraged, he acknowledges Raphael is correct. Leo declines Don's invitation to accompany him to Pittsburgh since he does not want to wait for so long. As Don drives off, Leo goes for a workout in the sewers. 2 men who are spying on the turtles in the area are wearing black suits and sunglasses. Leonardo is shot while he's moving down the sewer. There is a bunch of hunters and they start chasing the turtle. The ninja takes the decision that he needs to leave the sewer when Leo takes shelter and notices another bunch of men with guns. When Leo lowers the maintenance hole cover after climbing the ladder, yet another set of shooters on the streets sees him. Before fleeing their pursuit and making his way to April and Casey's apartment, Leonardo avoids the guys and hides in an alley. Sadly, the turtle stumbles and falls as he tries to grip the fire exit bars near Casey's bathroom window. While shaving indoors, Casey praises himself for having the bright idea to spread petroleum jelly on the fire exit to protect him from any assailants. Leo urges Casey to calm down because he has an assortment of buckshot that require immediate medical attention, while Jones yells a threat at the intruder through the open window. Casey is attending to Leo's injuries as he shares rumors that 2 youngsters were killed and eaten by enormous alligators while they were frolicking in the sewers. Leo dismisses the idea, saying that the turtles wiped off every gator in the sewers when they were young. After saying goodbye to Shadow and getting fixed up, Leo descends to Mikey's place. Mike is there, working diligently on his new book, which explains why he was not with his siblings before. Leonardo is obviously furious that Mike is writing and wasting his time, but Mike would not budge. Splinter yells at the 2 to stop fighting as they continue to fight. Master Splinter is seated on a rocker with the cat Clunk perched on his lap as Leonardo enters the room adjacent to them. After offering his sensei an apology for the disturbance, they briefly touch on the threat posed by the enormous gator. Leonardo disputes Splinter's claim that there are no enormous gators in the sewer, but Splinter points out that Leatherhead comes to mind when he says the guys are looking for a prize for killing the monster. Leo makes the decision that he has to locate Leatherhead right now and learn what is happening. Despite his request, Mikey is adamant about continuing to write. This again displeases Leo. He asks Jones whether he wants to help him in search for Leatherhead, but Casey and April show up with a pizza. But Casey needs to work later, hence she can't go till morning. Leo storms out of the room, smashing the door behind him and yelling that Leatherhead may be dead by dawn. Splinter informs Casey and Mike that they have some business of their own to attend to before they decide against going after the enraged ninja. Leonardo discovers multiple dead hunters in the sewers, all of whom have been attacked by something with enormous fangs. The mutant stumbles upon a warning etched on the walls with blood that reads, "I waiting turtles," as he continues along the trail of corpses. Leo starts running and remembers what happened before when it seemed like Leatherhead had lost his sanity. The Ninja Turtle rushes to their old hideout where they most recently saw Leatherhead after deciding that he is responsible for these killings and must be stopped. Leo recognizes Leatherhead when he arrives and pulls his knives. Leo approaches the large gator by leaping over his back. "Okay, Leatherhead, you decide. Do we talk or fight?" Leonardo is shocked to see Leatherhead restrained and muzzled. Lord Komodo, along with his Komodo dragon henchman, assaults the ninja from behind as the mutant gator attempts to warn Leo. Komodo's enormous Komodo dragon minions are all dispatched by Leonardo, but the terrifying antagonist snatches our worn-out hero and chews off his hand. Leonardo collapses with pain. Casey interrupts Mikey while he is working on his manuscript and says he can't go to work because he is worried about Leonardo. Mikey warns his buddy that April will be furious because the budget is so tight. However, Casey says they could solve the issue and be eligible for the award. Jones accepts Mike's offer to go with him, and the two enter the sewers where they discover the hunters' bodies right away. In the morning, Leonardo's arm is bandaged. King Komodo confesses that Pimiko, the chief kunoichi of Lord Komodo, had kidnapped and tortured him before taking him all the way to New York City in order to look for the turtles. King Komodo says that he is not Lord Komodo, but rather his half-brother, an outcome of mutagen research. When Leo inquires as to why Leatherhead was engaged, King Komodo responds that the gator was going to alert the turtles of his existence, and Pimiko needs to reprimand Leatherhead for the slayings and accumulate the prize being offered. Leo springs to his feet as he slashes the bindings of Leatherhead with his swords. Leatherhead rises and expresses gratitude to the turtle for his assistance before getting ready to battle King Komodo. Strangely, despite his best efforts, Leatherhead is unable to move forward to assault his captor. Instead, he stands still. Komodo boasts to his enemies that he can control the thoughts of his primitive brethren, and regrettably for Leatherhead, he fits this description. King Komodo then informs Leatherhead that the turtles are his real foe. Since Leatherhead is too frail to resist the beast's control, Leo instructs him to attack the control, which causes both of them to fall into the sewer. When Raph's tomb alarm sounds, he guides his foot soldiers in an exercise on the roofs. The foot questions their new commander if they should respond to the alert, but Raphael grabs it and breaks it in his hands, saying that his brother's fake warnings are no longer his concern and that he now belongs with the Foot, two of the finest guards, and an enigmatic individual spy on the gathering close by. Back in the underground, Casey and Mike discovered the blood-splattered letter from none other than King Komodo and locate the bad guy, who is watching Leo and Leatherhead square off. The turtle then swims the comatose gator all the way back to the surface after Leonardo successfully suffocates the enormous alligator till he passes out. King Komodo points a pistol at Leonardo as they come to the surface, but Mike and Casey assault him from behind, throwing him into the eerie water before he can fire. When Donatello returns from his trip to Pittsburgh and lands the aero car within the tomb, an armed squad of men dressed in black suits with sunglasses suddenly surround him, ordering him to freeze, yelling, "Where exactly are you from, alien?" As Casey gathers the slain Komodo dragons, Leatherhead emerges from his near drowning. Leo assumes that King Komodo is still alive and warns them to keep an eye out going forward, when Mike reports that he is unable to locate any evidence of him. If the turtles help him transport the corpses to the surface, Casey offers to divide the bounty for finding the Komodos with them. Leo amusedly asserts that since he, and not Casey, killed the animals, he should receive the majority of the share, 75-25%. "If you insist," Jones responds, "Okay, I'll take 75%, Leo and Casey are still arguing as Mike assists the two in carrying the corpses to the street. Agent Black holds Donatello after he has been apprehended and asks the Special Operations Strike Force SOS to authenticate his identification. Unfortunately, Rock, Kid Avenger, and Shrew are strangers to the Turtle, and Officer Dragon, the only member of the gang who is familiar with Don, has vanished. However, up until he grew irate and began his escape, Donatello had been following the rules. He is being attacked by SOS when a flirtatious Horridus shows up and calls him one of Dragon's pretty boyfriends. In the meantime, Casey is given a news appearance on television and given credit for slaying the deadly Komodo dragons that the Turtles had killed. Casey's supervisor, Mr. Daniels, contacts the Jones residence and informs April that Casey has been fired for skipping work in order to slay the Komodos. Shadow is urged by Splinter to console a furious April. Raphael enters the frame while donning the Shredder's armor, and Splinter challenges him on his attire and place in the Foot Clan. Leatherhead introduces Leo and Michelangelo to Dr. X, and Utrom, who was left well behind on Earth when the two artists were sent back to their home planet when they were down in the sewer. Leo is sent to a set of locations while Leatherhead and Dr. X, along with the two turtles, examine the transmat. Leo returns while grappling with the Triceraton. While focusing on their own transmat, the Triceratons had homed in on Mikey and Leatherhead's position. They sent more to Earth when Mikey and Leatherhead charged into the battle and defeated the Triceraton. After Leo destroys the transmat, Mike, Leatherhead, and Dr. X are able to escape through the water. Triceraton Captain Zack gives them the order to find Zog, a missing Triceraton, and they teleport Zog's tracking beacon right into the rear end of the aero car, where Don is fending off Horridus' advances. Donatello and Horridus discovered they had been attacked by a Triceraton who could teleport when they were up in the Triceraton air car. Donatello tries to avoid hitting the ground after being thrown out of the automobile by the Triceraton. He eventually emerges through his back with a helicopter rotor. The Triceraton persuades the innocent Sarah Horridus to believe that she is just a sister breed to him and that he had previously encountered her type back in the air car. Prior to Donatello's arrival, the air car rolls over and the Triceraton falls out. Her safety harness rescues Sarah. Donatello had employed a remote to switch the air car over. However, Sarah wants to press the dead Triceraton for information since, according to Dragon, her mother was abducted by aliens, which is how she was conceived. The Triceraton, also known as Triceratom or Tom for short, since Sarah thought it was his name, had crashed through the ceiling of the Museum of Natural History. While Splinter is watching South Park, Donatello calls him and gives him an update on the situation so he can alert the other turtles. Pimiko suddenly appears from behind him. Sarah lashes out at Donatello as he discovers Tom dead with a broken neck just as two additional Triceraton teleports in. Triceratons attack them and Sarah barely escapes harm. As he exits the taxi, Casey informs the chauffeur that he must go inside and retrieve the cash since the only thing he has with him is a check for $10,000. The driver is reminded of this and realizes that Casey is the one who is credited with eliminating the Gators, Komodo dragons, inside the sewers, reminding him that his ride was provided at no cost to a hero. When Casey enters the apartment, Splinter is there, sitting alongside a restrained Pimiko as he ruminates on his role as a hero. Casey adamantly states that he will come back later, but Splinter invites him inside and requests that he start the kettle for some tea. Splinter reveals Pimiko as being the daughter of Oroku Saki during tea time. He then snaps at her after realizing she was the accomplice of King Komodo in the previous attacks in the sewer. Casey physically flips out in an attempt to get away as she hurls a boiling cup of tea in her face. Leo is brought up to date by Splinter, who then laments his failure to keep her safe before informing him about Donatello's phone call. In an attempt to catch up with her, Casey picks up a golf club, but instead collides with Leonardo as he approaches. Leo and Casey make the decision to take action, and Leo approaches the Foot Clan in order to enlist Raphael's assistance. On the other hand, we can see that the conflict between Pimiko and Raphael for control of the New York Foot Clan and the mantle and tradition of the Shredder is said to have begun by the two individuals of the Japanese Foot Clan's ruling council who had made it to New York. Raphael blocks Pimiko's twin shuriken barrage with his sai as she launches her opening salvo. She receives the initial blow with a kick to the mouth, but he draws blood by cutting her with his sai. Raph observes that he had been holding back, suggesting that either she had been preparing since her previous battle or that she had been doing so. She becomes enraged when he pokes her in the eye with his fingers, prompting her to launch a kunai at his shoulder. In order to pierce Raph's shell, Pimiko whips her hair, which is laced with hooks. She throws him using her ponytail and declares victory. However, the council members claim that she has not won because he is still breathing. Meanwhile, we can see a lot happening in the issue number 24. Cheng of the Foot Clan has warped Splinter, but Dawn has finally found him in the astral plane. He has been draining Splinter's energy on the astral plane, and Dawn does not seem to be able to stop it. Karai makes fun of Oroku Saki's unwanted bastard for trying so hard to carry on his heritage. Pimiko believes that Karai is dishonest to Leonardo when she and Raph eventually arrive back at Karai's hiding place. Pimiko lashes out at Karai while indicating with her katana that she just needs the armor. From her seated posture, Karai backhands Pimiko, knocking the sword out of her grasp and tossing it upward and over in order to turn it on the victim. If the kunoichi would not listen to her, perhaps she would listen to a person she has known for most of her life, she adds as she gives the kunoichi her katana back. The Lady Shredder and Go Komodo emerge from the shadows, with the former saying that Kujikiri, the mother of Pimiko, was his sister and that she had left his kunoichi group to become the head hunter, an assassin for hire in order to kill for pay. She had a hidden tryst with Oroku Saki as a result of a job that needed her to remove him, which resulted in the birth of Pimiko. She has just recently revealed to her that Kujikiri abandoned her and she was raised by her uncle Komodo because she had been acting just as ungrateful as her mother. Leo tries to stop Komodo from attacking Pimiko by stepping in, but Lady Shredder stops him. She makes fun of him for not really understanding who she is. However, as she transforms her arm into a hammer, he realizes that there is no one within the armor. She is the armor. The renegade nanotechnology armor that flew off with Lurch after Donatello deserted had developed its own artificial intelligence, AI. As Komodo and Pimiko continue to battle, she transforms her arms into weapons and is prepared to shoot Leo. Due to the fact that they nearly murdered Amai and afterward tried to kill Pimiko as well, Raph deduces that Karai has been responsible for eradicating the Foot Clan right in New York. Raphael argues that they might have come to an agreement, but she counters that they turned him in shortly after the Japanese department came knocking. Raph tries to counter Karai's claim that he should not worry about Cheng by arguing that he believes Cheng has been the cause of it. Mike notices Shadow has a metal hand as he is about to sit down for supper and assumes that cybernetics are attempting to infect her again. She explains that it is Leonardo's artificial arm from before he opted to use the katana cap and that she placed it on to ensure that she would be safe in case the creature attacked again. While this is going on, Dawn tries to restart the armor, but it simply continues coming off. While the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are wrapped in problems and trying to seek a way out of them, we can see King Komodo rescued by his brother. The latter gave him orders to fight Pimiko because Pimiko's objectives now conflicted with Go Komodo's. King Komodo, however, had the time to adjust to the mutagen and his brother's DNA, developing a higher degree of consciousness than before and a consciousness of his own. He utilizes his power to manipulate lesser life forms to tame Go Komodo and transform him back into his Komodo dragon form, siding with Pimiko because she saved him and restored his health. In contrast to Pimiko, Go Komodo fled cowardly, leaving him behind to perish. In the end, Pimiko kills King Komodo. He takes control of Komodo Industries thanks to his newly discovered ability to change into human-like countenance resembling that of his brother. He promises to release Karai after she has recovered and expresses regret for devouring Leonardo's hand. King Komodo bids the turtles goodbye and contemplates whether to reunite Pimiko with the Foot Clan or simply manage Komodo Industries and amass enormous wealth. What makes King Komodo so powerful? This killer of a character brings a lot of powers to the table in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe. He is not only super strong, but super fast too. For starters, King Komodo is exceptionally great at controlling minds that are flimsier than his own. He can shapeshift easily and at about any time. King Komodo has deadly, solid and powerful jaws, which certainly cannot be missed. In issue number 17, he and 3 of his kin, who were not mutated, prowled the sewers in a retaliatory fashion. He murdered 2 kids who had gotten lost in the sewers, which led to the placement of a reward on any giant alligators found there. The turtles, especially Leonardo, suspected Leatherhead of being involved. If Casey Jones and Michelangelo had not intervened, King Komodo might have been to blame for the death of the turtles' leader. Hence, all the more reason to respect this dark and deadly villain of all time. The mighty Komodo of all time. As we all know, King Komodo was a mutated Komodo dragon who acknowledged himself as the half-brother of Go Komodo. King Komodo was accidentally mutated and turned into a vicious and evil mutant adversary of the turtles in no time. He was strong, potent, fast, and could read minds that were more primitive than his own, and had a wicked mind that could go up to any extent for revenge. He killed 2 kids and framed Leatherhead for it. He even tied Leatherhead up and gagged him to flee from the turtles. Later on, the character develops positive attributes after his brother rescues him. With his newfound ability to transform into a human-like appearance, he starts his life afresh by taking complete control of the Komodo Industries and releasing Karai after her recovery. He shows a change of heart by bidding the turtles goodbye and setting foot on his own path. A personality like King Komodo is feared as much as is respected. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.